welcome to my 2022 mid-year book Freakout tag. I will link the original creators of this tag. Thank you so much to them for creating such good fun for the community. First question, best book of the year so far? For me, absolutely A Prayer for the Crowned Shy by Becky Chambers, the second book in the Monk and Robot series of novellas. I love this. Warm hug. If you need something that's comforting, that will make you feel seen, that will make you feel better about humanity, this is the book. I love this book. I think it's probably the only book this year that really truly made me sob several times. So, highly recommend this. I also would like to mention the Kaiju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, I believe. I loved that book. So good. Very funny. Kind of crass humor along lines of like The Martian or something. If you aren't a fan of that slapstick, like college boy humor, maybe not, but it was fun. It's quirky. It's outrageous. There's giant kaiju. It's fun. If you like that kind of thing, I recommend giving it a try. I'm gonna purchase a copy when it's in paperback. Second question, the best sequel I've read in 2022 so far. I have two again. I have A Closed and Common Orbit, which is the second book in the Wayfarer series by Becky Chambers. I love everything Becky Chambers, as you probably have noticed by the second question alone. There's two books already by them. Excellent, also cozy, makes you feel better about the world and humanity. It's cozy. This one's a lot darker than the first book, which is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. There's just some darker things in this, so do look up the content warnings, but I will say Becky Chambers does an excellent job of handling these topics in a hopeful and positive way that don't feel gross. So there is some heavier stuff talked about. It's a little emotional, but I don't think it was too far for me personally. And then we have the Murderbot Diaries. I've already read Artificial Condition, but I read the third and fourth novella in this series. I am lending out my copies at the moment, but I really enjoyed the next two novellas in this series. I'm up to number 4 now, and I plan to read number 5 next. I love this. Martha Wells, you're brilliant, you're funny. I'm here for it. If you need something very easy to read, not super emotionally intense, not too many existential crises, I recommend following Murderbot as it figures out its own humanity and where it draws the line. Number 3 is my most anticipated new release that I still need to read. I'm not going to include a book for a reason you'll see in question 4. The book that I am most excited for that is a new release is A Curse of Blood and Stone by K.A. Tucker. That is the second book in the Fates series, I believe it's called. The best high fantasy dark romance I have ever read in my life is A Fate of Wrath and Flame. So obviously I'm going to read the second book. It is already out. I just have not purchased it yet because I am not in the headspace to read it, but I'm excited for it. So I will purchase it when I'm ready to read it, if that makes sense. Number 4, most anticipated release for the end of the year. So this is a book that's not out yet. I'm looking forward to Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw. This is a retelling of Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's about Sally's experience as the Pumpkin Queen, and there's a little like disaster that happens, and you know, she's got to go on a little adventure to fix it. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love it. I loved Winterwood by Earnshaw. So obviously I am going to give this book a read at some point. I look forward to it coming out pretty soon. Number 5, biggest disappointment of the year so far. I have 2 for this, unfortunately. I have The Maidenship by Micheline Reichman. I have this beautiful edition, so I'm gonna keep it, even if it was pretty disappointing. It wasn't the worst book I've ever read, but there are some pretty glaring moments of sexism and sexism baked into the story itself I thought we were following a female main character, and we are not. We are following basically a teenage boy, and hearing his thoughts is cringy, and it's just not a lot happens. The plot is kind of missing in my opinion, so overall quite the disappointment, but I think I still gave it 2 or 3 stars because I could see me as a teenager having enjoyed this quite a bit. My next one is the Warmer collection on Amazon. It is the novellas that they have published. I read the Forward series last year, the collection, and I thought half of them were pretty good and the other half was like pretty bad. But so far I've only read 2 of the Warmer collection and I hated both. Like 1 star. So it's just a no from me. It's pointless. It's just authors dumping their opinions about global warming and climate change and the world and humanity through characters' thoughts, and nothing happens in the plot. It's just very strange. They should have just written essays about their opinions instead of trying to sell us a story that doesn't matter. Biggest surprises of 2022 so far would be Frog Kisser by Garth Nix. I expected to enjoy this children's fantasy retelling of The Princess and the Frog. I absolutely ate it up. I adored it. I tabbed it. I highlighted it. I loved it. I am so glad I just picked this up on a whim. It was amazing. It's great. It's quirky. It's funny. Very Hobbit, Lord of the Rings inspired, but with lots of other inspiration in it. It's just all around excellent. Set Fire to the Gods by Sarah Rosh and Kristen Simmons. This is part of a series. It's gladiators with elemental powers, so like Avatar: The Last Airbender meets gladiators. It's a lot of fun. I expected to enjoy the adventure of this, but I did not expect to get so invested in the relationship. So I thought this was excellently done. I was fully immersed in it. I think the writing is brilliant. I think the way these authors work together is brilliant. Overall, a very solid read. I expected to feel neutral about this, and instead I've come away really anticipating the next book. So if you were curious about this one, I think it's solid. I think I gave this 4 stars. A new favorite author of mine. I haven't read a ton from a single author this year. However, I have almost completed the Search for Wandla trilogy by Toni Dieter-Lizzie. This is The Battle for Wandla, which I am currently reading. I'm only like 5% of the way through this, but I think after 2 books in this series, I have a pretty good idea. I've also read the Spiderwick Chronicles spin-off, so there's like 3 or 4 books. Not the Spiderwick Chronicles, but the spin-off of that by him with Holly Black, and absolutely adored that. So I can genuinely say I think Toni Dieter-Lizzie is going to be an absolute favorite of mine. After I'm finished with Wandla, I'm going to go back and read the original Spiderwicks because I never read them as a kid, and I feel like I've robbed myself of an experience since I'm loving everything I've read by him so far. Like, absolutely loving it. So, Toni Dieter-Lizzie, I see you. Newest crushes from fictional characters. I would have to say Sibling Dex from Prayer for the Crown Shy. I loved Sibling Dex in the first book, but something about the second book has made me really love them even more. They feel so real, they feel so intimate because you're in their mind, and I just think they're cute and they're quirky, and I'd be with them, just saying. So Sibling Dex for sure. I also think Twilight from Spy X Family, he's pretty cute. He's a cute dad. I think he's a pretty hot dad, so I'll say Twilight from Spy X Family as well, because, I don't know, he's grumpy, but, you know, he still has a sweet spot, so I think he's cute. Favorite characters would be Mosscap from Prayer for the Crown Shy. I love Mosscap. I think it's so funny, it's hilarious, it's very relatable. It has a lot of anxiety at times, and I can relate to a lot of things it says. Also, Anya from Spy X Family, a notable character that's a new favorite. She's quirky, she's cute, she's a little girl. I think she's fun. She reminds me of my toddler, so that's probably why. And lastly, Eva 9 from Wanla. I really love Eva 9. She's very empathetic and she connects with others and she just wants to do right by everybody, and I think that's really something to look up to. She's not perfect either, so I like Eva 9. A book that made me cry would be A Prayer for the Crown Shy. I read this at a really tough time this last month and it has really been healing for me. I cried a lot in this book. There's a lot of moments that are emotionally seeing. They're transparent. They make you feel seen. They are like a hug. It's two characters coming into a relationship with each other that is strictly educational, but at the same time their friendship is growing. It's beautiful. It makes you feel hopeful for humanity. It makes you wish humanity was like this. So I cried a lot in this book. Another one, so I don't just keep mentioning that same book a billion times, is The Emerald Gate by Mark Sagal, I believe. It's a graphic novel series, the 5 World series. There's 5 books. The last book, The Emerald Gate, the ending had me sobbing. It's so good. They did not take the easy way out. These authors did not take the easy way out of this book. They chose the ending that was appropriate but the most devastating. So hands down, I don't cry much during books, but these 2 books got me this year. A book that made me happy this year would be Bonds of Brass by Emily Skretsky. This is another, I guess, a surprise as well. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did. It was recommended to me last minute by a friend. I listened to the audiobook in just like a day or 2. That's how into it I was. It's not super long, but it is like sci-fi with a male-male romance. The twists, everything, I was so excited. I was so excited to pick this up every single time. I listened to the audiobook and I would find reasons to listen to the audiobook. That's how much I was enjoying it. 5 out of 5 stars. Made me so happy. When I think about it, I get even happier. The best adaptation, book adaptation to screen that I have seen and or read this year, I haven't done any except for Spy X Family. I have read the first 5 manga in the Spy X Family series. I am on like episode 6 or 7 in the anime now. It is adapted word for word. So excellent adaptation. I think it's great. I haven't watched any others though, so it really didn't have any competition. We're gonna skip question number 13 because I really haven't posted much, so I don't have a favorite post. The most beautiful books that I have purchased this year, I've been really good about not purchasing, and I've also been really good about purchasing used copies. I got this off Mercari for a few bucks. It's used, there's a little bit of damage on the cover. In terms of new books, I haven't purchased very many, but I have purchased a few and I do think they're pretty. Scorpica by G.R. McAllister. This is supposed to be like a matriarchy, rebel, queendom fantasy in the desert or something. It looks excellent. It's about a drought. I just really purchased it because of the cover and that it's feminist. So yeah, we're here for it. It's very pretty. It's yellow. It's a nice mustardy, orangey yellow. I'm here for it. Frozen 2 Forest of Shadows. This is beautiful. There's this etched cover with the foiling of Anna and Elsa, and it has this stunning map. I'll overlay some footage right now of this book because I took the cover off, but Frozen 2 Forest of Shadows was my favorite Frozen anything that's happened so far. I loved that book, and it made me love the movies even more because it gives you more context. So I purchased that book on Amazon Prime Day because I was that in love with it that, you know, a year and a half after reading it, I decided to purchase it. The last book I've bought this year is Blood Metal Bone, at least new books, sorry, is Blood Metal Bone by Lindsay Cummings. I think this is pretty. Again, not the most beautiful book I've ever bought. I'm not really buying any books right now that are brand new. I'm trying to buy used to save money and help with, you know, the planet and space. I'm kind of full, so yeah, haven't been buying many beautiful books, but obviously A Prayer for the Crown Shy was beautiful. They're all just beautiful covers, so I think that should count for something. Last question is very difficult, and I hate this question. It's, what books do I need to read before the end of the year? And to that is whatever I feel like. Right now, I just ordered a 16 book series off of Mercari. I got it on sale. They're extremely used and damaged. It's the Last Apprentice series. I think I'm gonna binge that for the rest of the year. We'll see, because they're horror, but I've read the first 2 books already, and something about them is comforting to me, and that's kind of what I need right now. So I'm going to read at least a few of that series. I would also like to finish a bunch of things. I'll flash a bunch of them on the screen. Yeah, I have a lot of books that I'm looking forward to, but I don't hold myself to reading any of them at any specific time, so maybe I'll read them, maybe I won't, but that's my current list of books that I'm excited about. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked, please consider liking and subscribing. If you would like to tell me your favorite book or your most surprising book in the comments, I would really love that, because I'm always looking for pleasant surprises and happy books. So I will see you in the next one.